It was a howl from the dark that woke her that night. A dream half remembered. The setting sun, the warmth of the fire, an old lover's smile. The brass pocket watch. Always the pocket watch, no matter how hard she tried. She tried desperately to cling to the memory of her face. Futilely. She tried all the same, as she knew she must. Only the telltale ticking of the gears would yield for her. Tick, tick, tick. The cracking of branches and cries of displaced birds pulled her from her exhausted haze. She rose from bed. She gazed outside. It was a dark night, with scant moonbeams peering through the forest canopy, beckoning to her. It was dark, and she was not alone. She dressed herself, tied her graying hair, gathered her lantern and woodsman's axe, and steeled herself. The axe is a tool, as any other, but its purpose is sacrifice. The axe's domain is the split, the carve, the divide. It dreams of taking, of breaking down the whole, not for its own sake, never for itself. The axe is selfless. It is crude, and it is heavy, and it is selfless. And though many would be thankful for its work, few would be thankful for the axe itself. The work is bloody and violent, and must be done with great forethought and measurement, but with a steady hand and an open mind. The bite of the axe brings change. It is through the splitting that we find sharing. It is through tearing down the old that we may bring about something new. Sacrifice brings change, brings life. And as the rod above feeds the earth below and nourishes the seed into tomorrow's sapling, the axe is the ultimate expression of nature. It is a terrible, wonderful burden. She thought herself the axe, in a sense. The lantern needs no introduction. Its burden is known. From the safety of her cabin she left, roaming the woods, following telltale signs of struggle and strife. Pale lamplight guided her. Canopy thickened, blotting out the sky. She felt the warmth in her hand, focused on it. She remembered who gave her the lantern, who lit the flame. It is the duty of Lanternkeeps to keep the flame alive and remember why they burn. She had grown to respect the forest. She wanted to believe she had grown out of fear. She never grew out of lying. Through thicket and underbrush, past shattered wood and scattered leaves, she found her prey after telltale howl. It was a sound she slowly recognized, though it was one she heard but once or twice before. From behind an old tree she watched its movements, sudden, shaking, aggressive. She knew the beast to an extent. It was not nocturnal, and it did not hunt. The beasts of the woods have no need for ambition. It was scared. Why? She spoke her thoughts aloud in a tired lapse of judgment, startling it and herself. Gritting her teeth, she focused again on the lantern's warmth. She was scared, but she would not allow it to consume her again. Slowly, with a trained hand, she lifted the lantern towards the beast, letting the pyre of the forest's queen wash over her quarry. The wretch stared on, a fear greater than hers gripping it, enraptured. Oily black tar seeped from its weeping eyes, razor fangs in a snarl, its 8 limbs raised, ready to pounce, gradually lowered, as it understood the Lanternkeep and her fey light, her authority, her purpose. It did not recognize her, or know her as humans would, but after a fashion, it understood her. It gazed towards the clearing, an inscrutable look in its eyes, then ran. The last remaining axe of the Autumn Queen walked towards the clearing, following the trail the beast left in its wake. She could see a faint light in the distance, markings on trees, the smell of smoke, acrid and foul, a sickly taint of industry, of carelessness. Telltale forms of bodies ahead, surrounded by stumps and worn, dry earth, the stench of blood and rot. She recognized the insignia on their jackets. She recognized the regalia of the regiment captain. She recognized the telltale signs of the ritual they performed, their litany of slaughter and conquer. She considered the axe, crude and heavy burden that it was. As the captain popped open his brass pocket watch, she leapt from the brush, raising her lantern high, engulfed in deep emerald flame, wide and imposing, inevitable. The forest wheeled at her as she saw fit, bringing her to bear on that which would defile it. They stared at her in awe, in fear, and in silence. She tightened her grip on her axe as the pocket watch rattled, its bearer shaking. Only the telltale ticking of gears would yield for her. Tick, tick, tick. Yes. The axe would do.